Spent 10 years in prison, been out a few years, and one thing that people think will help you in prison, but it does not, it's a very dangerous and scary position to be in, is having dirt on an officer. A lot of women go in there and think, oh, if I can find this out about Officer so-and-so, I can hold his balls in my hand like a vice. But let me tell you what actually happens when you have dirt on an officer, because it's not what you guys think, and it's very, very scary. When a female inmate, in case y'all don't know what a female inmate is, it's a person that's in prison, okay? A female that's in a female prison. When that woman has dirt on an officer, particularly a male officer, try to catch them hooking up with girls, try to get some dirt on them. They thought that they could hold it over the officer's head and either blackmail them, extort them, or use that info to get away with stuff themselves. So like if that officer works in the dorm and I know that you're hooking up with one of the inmates or bringing in contraband, I'm going to go lay up with my girlfriend and you're not going to do a damn thing about it because I know that you're sleeping with inmates and bringing stuff in. They try to let him know like, hey, you're going to let me get away with my dirt as an inmate because I have dirt on you as an officer that'll put you in prison. So back up, buddy. And you think you've got it all under control and you think that you're ahead and you think that you're in this position of power. But baby, I watched it happen many a time. You're not in a position of power. What you've just done is put a big ass target on your back. Because one thing about people that are exhibiting bad behavior is they're going to get paranoid eventually. So I'm telling y'all hands down every single time. Do you know what happened? The officer that was doing something wrong would get extremely hella paranoid. And when they would get paranoid, they would instantly assume that the inmate that knows about them is the one that's telling on them. That officer is going to start thinking, oh man, my coworkers are starting to look at me funny. This guy gave me a side eye. And my captain called me in and said, I heard some things. Once that seed is planted, once they start getting that in their mind, that you're telling on them or that someone's telling on them, they're coming for you. And one thing about paranoia, and I don't know if you guys know this, okay? Paranoia only gets worse. It only escalates. This is where it becomes really dangerous because guess what? He's going to target you. He's going to target you. And when I say he's going to target you, there's only two ways to target somebody who's in prison. One, unalive them. Two, put them in solitary confinement. Set them up. Plant some charges, pay somebody to fight them, pay somebody to drop some substances in their locker, make up a DR and write a false DR. You are going to make sure that they get put in confinement. And I don't mean for some like 2 week, 2 months, 3 months. You're going to get them in trouble, and then you're going to say they kicked you, and then they're going to go to the hole for years. They're going to be behind a door for years. And then whatever dirt they have on you, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant now. They just went to confinement for years, and now they want to come out and say, oh, I know this about that. He's only mad because I know that he's screwing another inmate. Nobody's going to believe you. They're going to think you're retaliating because he put you in confinement and you're mad at him. Your info is worthless now, okay? So the reason I bring this up is because there's a lot of females in prison who come in with the mentality, oh, I don't like this officer, let me get dirt on him. Oh, I saw that officer doing that, so he better watch himself because if he messes with me, I'm gonna go tell on him. Don't do it. Don't do it. That is a dangerous position to be in. When that officer comes for you, he's coming. You're going to suffer the consequences. Sometimes you find out information about officers. It's completely accidental. You're not digging for it. You're not looking for it. You're literally just going into a back laundry room and boom, there's somebody getting their pipe waxed. You see it and you can't help it. And if that's the case, then you're kind of in a pickle. Okay, no pun intended, but you're in a pickle. That always sucks. But as long as you stay away from that officer, you don't make eye contact, you don't make conversation, and you're just like, you're good, and you just keep it moving, and you never, anything again, you should be all right. But this is what I would see a lot. The girls would be like, oh, he doesn't want to let us hang laundry today, and it's the weekend, even though you're not allowed to hang laundry, okay? It's against the rules. That's real funny that he doesn't want to let us hang laundry today when he was just getting his pipe waxed last week in the laundry room. It's stuff like that that'll get you unalived quick by staff or put in solitary confinement in the hole behind a door for years, okay? I watched an inmate get unalived, and they said it was by her own fault. They said she overdosed, but it was right after she outed and exposed publicly a sergeant for sleeping with an inmate, okay? I watched I told y'all my best friend actually, there was this staff member, he tried to come for her so hard, y'all. He tried to write her DRs and get her moved to another compound. All because my best friend was cleaning his office the day that he was hooking up with this girl. And my friend was like not saying anything about it. She didn't care. But he got so paranoid all by himself. Nothing was happening. No one was questioning him. This staff member, he was a teacher. He wasn't in any kind of trouble. He just started getting paranoid. You got to be careful. Prison is a game of chess. There's a lot of politics, and you got to know how to move. And if you don't, you're going to get flattened. You're going to get run the hell over, and it's not going to be good. So I just want to give y'all that tidbit of info. I don't hope any of you guys ever go. I don't think any of y'all ever will go. But if you know someone that's incarcerated or you have a loved one that's going through the system, make sure that you tell them, do not look for dirt on an officer, because it's a hella dangerous position to be in. I love you guys, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later. What happens if you're transgender and you get arrested and you get a prison sentence? Have you ever thought about that? I'm going to tell you guys because I did 10 years in prison, so I have seen this actually happen. Some people aren't going to like it, but it's the truth. So let's break this down, okay? So while I was in prison and all the years before that, if you were in that predicament and you were a girl and you were transitioning to be a guy, you were born a female, you were going to the female facility and you were just in general population. You would go down and you would get your hormone shots. If they would allow you, you had to go through this whole crazy process. It was hell and high water. In all of that time, I saw a lot of girls that were transitioning to be boys, and they ended up not getting their medicine and not getting the stuff that they needed. And, you know, they kind of just lost all their facial hair and all that. Now, what ended up happening is there was some kind of lawsuit. And so in 2021 or somewhere around there, they ended up making a dorm that was specifically for transgender boys. They came in as females, but they were transitioning to men. And they were in a specific dorm. And if they lived in that dorm, then they could be given the proper medical care and medication and all of that. And it was just paid for by the state, and they didn't have to fight as hard. So a lot of the girlies that were transitioning to be boys, they would go and join this program, and they would go into the prison and they would get in the program and they would live in that dorm. The problem is that dorm is isolated from the rest of the compound and doesn't commingle. So now you can't have girlfriends. You can't see the people that you want to see. You can't maybe get a girlfriend to take care of you if you had a lot of time. So a lot of those people that were going into those dorms were not really wanting to stay there long term because you didn't have a sweet setup anymore. You were isolated from general population and they didn't like it. It doesn't matter if you present as a female, have a vajayjay, have boobs, long hair, and look totally feminine. If your birth certificate or driver's license says M for male, you're going to the male facility. That's what they're going to go by, period, point blank. Prior to 2021, you were just on the compound, all commingled together. Now, if you came in and you were full-blown transitioned and you were like pretty much a transgender dude, but your documentation still says female, then you're going to go to the female prison and you're going to have it sweet. You're going to do sweet time because all the girls are going to be after you. They're all going to want you because you look like a dude and you're presenting like a dude. You're just going to have a really easy time. It's up to you how you want to do it. Just because you're transgender and you go to the female prison, it doesn't mean they're going to isolate you or put you in a dorm by yourself with other transgender males. They're not. They're going to give you the option. If you want the medical treatment to continue to transition, you're going to be put in that dorm by yourself. If you don't want the medical treatment and you just want to be on the compound because you've already transitioned or you just want to stop while you're there, then you just go ahead and, go to general population, just live your life. They don't care if you look like a dude. And to be honest, if you were a female and you were transitioning to be a male, I don't even think it would be safe for you to go to the male facility if you were born female. Because if they know you're born female, they're going to tear you up y'all already know they're going to do God knows what to you because they think you still have a coochie up in there somewhere. So I wouldn't even want to be born female and transition and go to the male facility. I'd want to be with the girls. I'd rather be with the girls looking like a dude than with the dudes looking like a dude born a girl. Y'all get what I'm saying? Like, I know it's confusing, but hopefully you get it. Anyway, so that's what happens. Paperwork rules. And if you're born a female, you're going to the female facility. If you're born a male, you're going to the male facility. And in here in Florida, they give you the option if you want treatment, you can get it, but you have to be isolated in another dorm. If you don't want treatment, you can go on the compound and you can be King Mac Daddy slinging schlong all day long. Okay? So anyways, see you guys next one. Bye. Strange things I thought about while I was sitting in prison for 10 years that I never thought about before I was sitting in prison for 10 years. Why don't they teach you in school that Alaska is not an island right next to Hawaii? And by the way, y'all, my parents are both doctors. I went to really, really good private schools, and I promise y'all I'm smart, okay? But why did I always think that Alaska and Hawaii were two little islands right next to each other, and it was always just baffling that they had such extreme opposite weather conditions. It's because they're not two little islands right next to each other on the side of the United States. Alaska's way up there by Canada. Like, why isn't it even part of Canada? Why does nobody tell you when they're teaching you about self-care and you're like a teenager and growing up that your eardrums are super sensitive? It's like a little tiny piece of film, like a screen, a little tiny piece of like a Listerine strip that just protects one side of your ear from the other and can be ruptured by a wave in the ocean, a Q-tip, a slap. It has a very important purpose, and like, it's very fragile. So take care of that sucker, because a ruptured eardrum sucks. Who in the hell invented concealer? Because concealer is just foundation in a smaller tube. You pay different amounts of money. It's the same product. It's great marketing. You're going to sell a lesser version of the same product in a different style tube with a different applicator. Call it another name. What? Like, holy crap, what a realization. Human beings are supposed to be like intellectually the superior specimens. We produce milk in our tittle bitties for our offspring, but still there's people who willingly choose to say, hey, the milk that my body produces, I'm not going to give it to my offspring. I'm going to take that milk that cow, that animal made for its offspring, and I'm going to give it to my human baby instead of the milk that my body made for my human baby. I'm going to use the cow's milk that the cow made for its animal baby. Great plan. I'm not like a Bible thumper, so I don't know everything. I don't know all the things. But I thought that Jesus went and sacrificed himself up there on, I got to be careful what I say in here. Y'all know what I'm talking about, okay? I thought all that happened for our sins and to wipe away the 10 Commandments and start anew in the New Testament. So then why are people still not eating pork? Like, I thought that the big man upstairs put all this stuff down here for us to eat and be healthy and whatever. What is wrong with pork? 10 Commandments were done away with. I'm confused. Why are y'all not eating pork? Gentle parenting. I learned about gentle parenting and that whole movement and ideology while I was in prison. I read about it, and then I saw some of it when I got out, and I was just like, why on earth it's like I fundamentally realized that at the core, gentle parenting is weird, because even though the idea in theory might be okay, when it's executed from what I've seen and read, it is you yourself as the parent, and you as the parent encouraging your child to give an extraordinarily crazy amount of time, effort, and energy and validation, thinking very deeply about shallow shit and then drowning in your own understanding, all in the name of being an intellectual who needs to validate, address, discuss every single thing that comes across your 4-year-old's brain. Every single thought, every single word, every single feeling. And it's just not always that deep at all. And encouraging that kind of thought pattern is really dangerous and bizarre to me for your child's future. Because I promise you, the world moves fast, and the majority of people are not going to sit down and go through this process and hash out your kids' feelings because they didn't get the right chair at work. Okay? They're not going to sit down and hash it out. That was just a really weird school of thought that was formed that I learned about while I was in prison. So anyways, of course, in a decade of prison, I thought about many things. Those are just a few off the top of my head, but I'm sure I'll think of many more, and I will come tell you guys, okay? I love you, and I will see you on the next one.